Hi, I'm Jerry Brown, author of BrownOnGreen.net. Peter Fusaro is chairman of Global Change Associates, a New York-based energy consultancy he created in 1991. He's also written 15 books on energy and environmental financial markets, including the best-selling What Went Wrong in Enron. Fusaro was in Denver today to discuss the impact of green initiatives on the oil, gas, and power industry. His appearance was sponsored by Core. A lot of people see green and fossil fuels as mutually exclusive. But Fusaro said, number one, that green will be so mainstream in 10 years that we won't call it green anymore. Number two, that there's never been a better time than today to be in the oil and gas business. And number three, that we'll be using fossil fuels for many decades to come. I spent a few minutes talking with Peter Fusaro after his presentation. I started by asking him how he ties those three ideas together. Here's what he had to say. Peter Fusaro, you're here in Denver to talk about the impact of green initiatives on the oil, gas, and power industries. And you made some interesting comments that I think some people would at least see as opposing one another. The first one being that a decade from now, green will be so mainstream we won't call it green anymore. But at the same time, you're saying there's never been a better time to be in the oil and gas industry, and that we're going to be using fossil fuels for a very long time. Weave that fabric for us.
Sure. Demographically, everyone under 30, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, believes in environmental issues. They are green. They are not in power now. So in the next 10 years, the millennials will be much more robust, and they're bigger than the boomers. What I mean by saying that the industry will still be using oil and gas is very true. We'll be using oil and gas in a much more environmentally benign way. For example, plug-and-play hybrids, we're talking possibly 125 miles per gallon. That has less of an environmental footprint and a greater efficiency gain. So where we're going is we can still use fossil energy. The game changer is it has to be more efficient and environmentally benign. And the reason is because there is going to be government regulation on environmental issues that's much more aggressive than presently.
Okay. You talk a lot about cap and trade. You're a supporter of cap and trade and the fact that we need to make markets in carbon if we're going to do some other things we need to do to make things more efficient and more green. There's probably the biggest pushback you got this evening was around that very issue. It's obviously a very controversial issue within the country and within Congress. And there are some of us, at least, that are a little afraid of the word markets, having seen the manipulation that happened at Enron and what happened with the financial markets a couple of years ago. So why should we believe in markets and using cap and trade as a way to do that?
For the simple reason that cap and trade has worked. We've remediated an acid rain problem with cap and trade. We've remediated an urban ozone problem with cap and trade. 200 nations have adopted cap and trade under the Kyoto Protocol. And we have, as I mentioned in my speech, 38 environmental financial markets. The problem today is people are absolutely fearful of markets. But this is a market mandated by government, run by government, so it will be very transparent. And the only problem with the Congress today is they don't like price volatility. But this market is too big. If we go into an economy-wide greenhouse gas market, it will be next to impossible to manipulate that market. It will be run by the EPA, it'll be run by Treasury, it'll be run by the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And right now, we are going to see the pendulum swing to much more heavy-handed regulation. This is the perfect market, the environmental financial market, for that kind of environment.
When you start talking about the government running it, I can hear that socialism crowd getting all up in arms that the government shouldn't be involved in this.
Well, it's very interesting. It was a Republican president, Bush 1, that actually proposed the acid rain market-based solution. It was a Republican president that pushed this forward. Right now, there's been kind of a disconnect because the Democrats are pushing market-based solutions and the Republicans are pushing command and control, which boggles my mind.
My background, I grew up as a Catholic, and I remember hearing stories, in catechism class or wherever about that back in several hundred years ago, people could be as bad as they want and then they go buy these indulgences and make it all good. A market in something like carbon and carbon reduction, it seems to me, is a little less concrete than, say, a commodities market in pork bellies or a winter wheat because somebody's got to take that off of a train somewhere and put it somewhere. There is room, it seems to me, for the kind of manipulation that maybe went on with Enron. And somebody will find a way perhaps to say, well, this project will save carbon when it's really something on paper. How do you guard against
Well, I
that?
totally disagree with that comment. The reality is, to really move forward on a carbon market, you need verifiable carbon reductions. These are done typically by third-party verification companies who have no vested interest in the project. Secondly, these markets are going to have government surveillance. It's called market surveillance, monitoring. And so far, we have one viable carbon market, which is in the emissions trading scheme in the EU. 27 nations fall under that. What is lacking in the United States market is we have piecemeal regulation in states like the Northeast and California. That doesn't get us to a lower carbon economy. I'm not so worried about market manipulation. And in fact, one of the reasons our acid rain program worked so well for 15 years with only one violation was that there was a financial sanction of $2,300 a ton for noncompliance. We have not seen any emphasis on financial sanctions. What you really need is regulation with teeth, then industry complies.
Okay. Anything we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about?
I'm very optimistic over the next 10 years that we will start seeing better technology coming into the markets. Right now, there's still a number of financial hiccups in financing where I'm very focused, specifically renewable energy and energy efficiency, which we have a tremendous opportunity because of our very low energy prices. We have a lot of opportunity to increase efficiency and dispatch more renewable energy. Conversely, we also have the opportunity to start using oil and gas in a much more efficient way. And that's going to incent a lot of new behaviors, because what we're really talking about is how engineers solve problems.